Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Peyton, the projectionist at the Strand Theater. I hope to find you all well during this pandemic. I hope you're doing okay, staying safe, staying inside, and staying healthy. And here's another movie video for you. This one is a bit more lighthearted than the last one. The last one I did 10 horror movies you should see. Horror is not everyone's thing. You might be in the mood for something lighter, a comedy perhaps, and I don't think you can get much better in terms of classic comedy than Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy. They're my favorite comedy team of the classic movie era. You had the Marx Brothers, you had the Three Stooges, you had Abbott and Costello, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, people like that. But my favorite, by far, is Laurel and Hardy. In general, middle school is when I started to get into classic movies. And I really like the monster movies, but on the other hand, I really like the comedy movies. And Laurel and Hardy, I think, still, to me, represent the best that the silver screen had to offer in terms of comedy. Their humor was simple, but also very endearing. You loved their characters, while you also were frustrated with them because they were so dumb. Essentially, they played dumb, kind of exaggerated versions of their real-life selves. Stan Laurel being the shorter, thin one from England, and Oliver Hardy being the rotund, tall one from the American South, who thinks he's smarter than Stan, but in reality is just as dumb. Last time I did a video on horror films, and I know horror is not everyone's thing. You might be in the mood, especially during this time in our lives, for something more lighthearted. So that's why I am recommending 5 Laurel and Hardy films for your viewing pleasure. They made over 100 movies, I think, together. They both had separate acting careers before they were paired as a comedy team at the Hal Roach Studios in the 1920s. So yeah, they started off in silent films and they transitioned successfully into talkies, where they continued appearing in films at Hal Roach and then at 20th Century Fox up until the 1950s. And I find that their Hal Roach output is the best, especially the sound films, I think, that come out between 1929 and the late 1930s, early 1940s, somewhere around there. But these 5 films that I recommend today will all be short films. They're around 20 to 30 minutes each. And short films, in case you're unfamiliar, in case you're, I guess, my age and you don't know, when you went to the movies, you didn't just see the main feature. You would go there for a couple of newsreels, some cartoons, maybe a Looney Tunes or a Disney cartoon, and a live-action short subject like the ones that Laurel and Hardy appeared in. The Three Stooges also were known for making many, many short films. From 1934 until 1959, they made 190 of them, and I have all of them on my shelf back here, incidentally. That's another video. But right now, take a look at my top 5 Laurel and Hardy short films to make you smile. First, no Laurel and Hardy video is complete without the signature bowler hat, so I'm going to attempt to put this on. I look so silly. I definitely look a lot worse with my longer hair in this hat than I did a few years ago with my short hair. I'm not using this the whole video, who am I kidding? Time to get my hairbrush. My number 5 pick is Hog Wild from 1930. This short, like the plots of many of these films in general, I should say, are very simple. They're just setups for all the gags and humor that come out of them. And they're always like situational humor. In this one, Laurel and Hardy tried to put a radio antenna up on Hardy's house. Obviously, without much success, here they just fell off the roof along with the chimney. This one's really funny, especially for the car chase at the end of the movie. It's not elaborate; it's just simple slapstick. But the fact that these guys can make such a simple task infinitely more difficult because of their stupidity just makes me laugh every time. I especially love the bit where Oliver Hardy is on the ladder in the back of his car, and Stan is driving it, holding the ladder with one hand and the steering wheel with the other, trying to keep him level, and then he hits a double-decker bus, and it just all goes to crap by the end of it. When I was in middle school, Turner Classic Movies, my favorite TV channel, did a marathon of a lot of the Hal Roach, Laurel and Hardy shorts. But this one always struck me as my favorite at the time. It's just so funny. They're just endless gaffes, endless gags in this one. I just can't recommend it enough. Just watch it. It's really funny.
Now listen, if you don't be careful, I'm gonna break your neck.
My number 4 pick is Helpmates from 1932. The setup of this one is, again, pretty simple. Hardy has just woken up. He has a hangover. He had a wild party the previous night. His house is a wreck. His wife's going to be home any minute, and he enlists the help of his friend Stan to clean up the house before his wife gets home. They constantly argue about how to clean the house. Stan is especially inept at cleaning. It just gets really funny, and Oliver Hardy's suits keep getting ruined by the end of this movie, and when he goes to greet his wife at the train station, he has to wear this old-fashioned, like, really ugly naval uniform, and it always makes me laugh, especially when he comes home and the sword's all bent up. That's just part of the ending. I won't spoil the very end, because it's really, really funny, and honestly, a little bit sad. You might have some of Stan's funniest moments, like here he's trying to unclog the sink with a toilet plunger. Let's see how this goes. Obviously, it hit Ollie in the face. See, that's the kind of pretty juvenile slapstick humor of these movies, but honestly, to me, it's just so funny, I just can't get enough of it.
Do you realize that this is the only suit that I've got left? It's enough to make a man burst out crying. Shut up and get this mess cleaned up. Do you know that my wife will be home at noon?
Say, what do you think I am, Cinderella? If I had any sense, I'd walk out on you.
Well, it's a good thing you haven't any sense.
It certainly is.
My number 3 pick is Come Clean from 1931. In this one, Stan and Ollie are on the way back home from an ice cream shop when they discover a woman trying to drown herself in the river. They rescue her, but they can't throw her off their backs for the rest of the night. She just follows them around back to Ollie's apartment, and his wife starts to get very suspicious that about this woman just lurking around, and they try to hide her for pretty much the rest of the night. It's really, really funny, especially the part where she's in the other room, like, trying on his wife's clothes and trying to make a bunch of noise to be purposefully discovered, just to, I don't know, blackmail him for, like, a pretend affair or something like that. She turns on the radio and Stars and Stripes Forever comes on, and Stan and Ollie just frantically start banging all the dishes around, trying to cover up the noise and just start singing the song themselves. That's probably my favorite part of this. They just can't escape this woman. She's just out to ruin their lives for some reason, even though they saved her life. It's kind of dark when you think about it. Some of these actually, some of the plots actually get kind of dark. Laurel and Hardy murder case is another good one, kind of with a dark plot and a really bizarre ending. That's a video for another time. But Come Clean is great, especially for the opening ice cream shop gag.
Good evening. Good evening, sir. What can I do for you, sir?
We'd like a quart of your best ice cream, please.
Yes. What flavor?
What flavors have you?
Strawberry, pineapple, and vanilla.
What flavor do you want?
I'll have chocolate.
My number 2 pick is Another Fine Mess from 1930. If you're a fan of Laurel and Hardy, you may have heard the phrase, well, this is another fine mess you've gotten me into, which is often attributed to Oliver Hardy. That is a misquote, and which means that the very title of this film is a misquote. What he actually says many times is, this is another nice mess you've gotten me into. So the title of this film has helped contribute to the misnomer for decades upon decades, but it's another nice mess, not another fine mess in reality. Another Fine Mess is so high on my list because it's a prime example of the Laurel and Hardy plotline, as I will call it. A plot that starts out, kind of understandable, kind of innocent, but gets more bizarre and bizarre the more different things that they run into, the more weird situations they find themselves in, up until the end, until it turns into something that you would have never imagined seeing when you started the film. And this is no exception. They start out the movie as homeless kind of vagrants during the Great Depression, being chased away by a policeman. They happen upon this big mansion that's, it turns out, the owner has gone to Africa on a safari, and they have the mansion basically to themselves. Until, that is, a rich couple comes to the house a rich couple comes looking to rent the house. Oliver dresses up as the homeowner, Colonel Buckshot, I think, and Stan dresses up as his maid Agnes, and also his butler, I forget the name of the butler, but it's this constant changing of clothes and assuming of roles that makes this so memorable. especially when Stan, pretending to be the maid, has this hilarious conversation with Thelma Todd, which you probably just witnessed, and Ollie leads Lord Plumtree around the house, trying in vain to find the billiard room that actually doesn't exist. Stuff like that, it just makes this really memorable and really funny. The plot is just so weird. I just love it so much.
Come, Agnes, see me off.
Yes, ma'am.
You're such a dear.
Oh, Agnes, call me a cab.
Huh?
Call me a cab.
You're a cab.
On the telephone.
Before I reveal my top pick, how about an honorable mention? Laughing Gravy from 1931. You might think, what the heck is Laughing Gravy? It's the name of a really cute dog that's in the film. Laurel and Hardy are rooming together at this boarding house. Stan has a dog named Laughing Gravy. Despite the fact that the landlord does not allow dogs, they try to hide the dog from the landlord throughout the duration of the short until they're finally discovered with it and promptly kicked out. And the reason I am including this as an honorable mention is not just because it's so good, which it is, and it makes you really feel for them and feel for the dog. It's not very hard to feel for a dog, but still, is because of the ending and how timely it feels these days.
Get out of here and make it snappy.
Wait a minute. This house is under quarantine. No one can leave here for 2 months.
2 months.
2 months.
My number one pick is Chickens Come Home from 1931. This is another good example of the classic kind of Laurel and Hardy plotline where it starts out normal and innocent enough, but balloons to a weird and wacky situation by the end of it. This one is very similar to Come Clean, as it co-stars an actress named Mae Bush, who often plays these kind of loose women roles in these Laurel and Hardy movies. In this one, she plays an ex-girlfriend of Ollie's who shows up to his office one day because he's a successful businessman now. She shows up to his office with an embarrassing photo of him and her from the past and just tries to blackmail him or something along those lines. And Stan and Ollie spend the rest of the movie trying to keep her away from his house because him and his wife are having a party with these wealthy people, because I think Ollie is running for mayor in this one. Stan tries to fight this woman off and to keep her away from Ollie's house, and then this random lady who happens to know Stan's wife thinks that, you know, he's fooling around with this lady, and it's just like a double, triple, quadruple weird blackmail situation. It's hilarious, and I can't get enough of it. It just showcases, I think, the best of their senses of humor. Ollie's trying to keep this woman away from his house, Stan's trying in vain to help him, but it all comes crashing down by the end of it.
Get back and I'll carry you out.
Oliver?
Oh, wait a minute.
Oliver!
We've decided to go home.
What else can I say about it? Then it just makes me smile. And Laurel and Hardy are really good at making me smile in kind of darker times in my life. Not to get all depressing on everyone, but they're really good at, you know, brightening my spirits. And I think everyone could use a bit of that at this time in our lives and in the country's life. So that is my top 5 Laurel and Hardy films. Short films, that is. You can find a lot of these on Amazon for really, really cheap rentals if you're in for a quick laugh. These are only like 20 or 30 minutes, and they hold up pretty well. Until next time, I hope that you are well, that you stay well, and that you watch good movies. And if you have any movie recommendations, not just Laurel and Hardy, but just in general, just feel free to share them in the comments on this post if you're on social media, or if on YouTube in the comment section below. Don't forget to give a like to this video, and the Strand Theater will be open eventually whenever this goes away. We love you, and we hope you're doing well. See you later.